Hello, everybody. This is Nik and Adinah Johnson. Thank you all so much for taking a moment out of your day to take a look at us. How you doing today, baby?
Hello.
All right. We're coming to you today 20 calendars in. 2 decades
Yes.
of being married. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we were not able to do much because we're in the midst of social distancing. So we weren't able to do a whole lot. But we were able to be thankful for being together for these 20 years. And we thank God for keeping us together and bringing each other into one another's lives.
Yeah.
So after 20 years, we've had individuals to ask us, hey, got any advice?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of advice you can give somebody over 20 years.
Yeah.
But I think if it was just one thing, a lot of times you hear people say, what's the one thing?
What's the one thing?
What's the one thing, honey, you would say that, in looking back, that you feel as though have helped over the 20 years, or the one maybe misconception that you had or things like that?
Well, the one thing that I felt like helped us, and if anybody would say what's the secret, I think for us it was building a strong foundation and getting our education around marriage and how it's designed and how we could support each other. So for me, that was the biggest thing, is to get that foundation and that understanding of who the other person was, and to appreciate that and love that and encourage that. I think so often individuals try to change each other, and I think we started that way, but after we got some education in around marriage and how it's designed, and we built that strong foundation, I think that's what helped us.
Okay. Yeah, I know that when we first got married, we had challenges, and I think the thing was that we were determined that we were going to make it work.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. Like, no matter what, I was like, we'll mess up one time, but we might mess up again, but we're not going to mess up the same way.
Right.
And that was one thing that we were always determined about. I know, as far as for me, I think it was just understanding that I needed to really focus on what was important. I think everybody, when you go into a marriage, you have these preconceived notions that, when I come home, she's going to have my pipe and my slippers and all this other kind of stuff, and that's just not realistic. You can't really go and operate your marriage based upon what you have seen oftentimes in society, because, society isn't going to give you the best representation of the way that a marriage should be conducted.
Right.
So I just went in there and I really had the mindset that every day I wanted to be a little bit better than I was the day before, and try to be a better husband, and just to be a provider and things like that. So my one thing is just realizing that, hey, it's me and you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we've got to make sure that we are right, and that no matter if nobody else on this planet understood it, as long as we did, that's what mattered.
Right.
So that's really one of the biggest things that I took from that.
I think one thing for me, and it's not being miserable. I don't believe in being miserable for one day, because life is too short, and we are seeing that now with everything that's going on with this whole coronavirus and the social distancing, whereas you can't take any time for granted. So I think it's so important that you live your life to the fullest, and you love that person that you're with as much as humanly possible, because I look at, if something were to happen to one of us or our children, that is a life changer. That is just really, it'll change forever. And so I don't believe in being miserable for one day. So part of that is doing what it takes to get in a good space with the person that I love.
Yeah. And what I'm thankful for is that I'm thankful for us, but it saddens me when I look at others, because I know when we got married, it's like you have this little window in your life.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's like kind of getting married around the same time.
Right.
And, you have friends because you all, similar ages, so you're going through similar life events. But as I look back over my shoulder at the people, not over my shoulder, but as I look back, at the individuals who got married around the same time that we did.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are still married.
And a lot of them some of them aren't here either.
Yeah.
Because there's been some deaths and,
Yeah,
other things that have happened in 20 years. So I look at, 20 years. So now, because we've been together for 23 years, married for 20, you have been with me longer than you were living without me.
How did I do it?
Because you were 21 when we got together.
I was a young buck. Yes, I was a young buck. Yes.
Very.
Yes.
The
milk had just dried from behind my ears.
I don't think it was dry.
Yes, but it's we just want to encourage people to know that, hey, it's not rocket science, but people make it difficult.
Yeah.
Just don't be selfish. Try to esteem the other person more than yourself. Give them that love and that respect that they desire.
Yeah.
And just remember, you got to do it all again the next day. Just get up the next day, like, okay, so if yesterday wasn't good, it's all right. We can make the day better.
Right.
And if yesterday was great, just try to make the day better.
Okay. So I talked about we live in understanding with each other. And not to be miserable. Let me tell you one of the misconceptions I had.
Okay, shoot.
Going in. Mm-hmm. I thought, because I didn't grow up with a man in the household. And so even I had to, kind of correct myself on this because I don't know if you remember this, but our children, they're small now, but they were a little bit smaller. And our son is always all over the place, our middle child. Mm-hmm. And he tried to open the van door and you were driving and you were like, son, don't do that. You were got excited about it. And I thought, I don't want you to raise your voice at our children, even if it's saving their life. And it was like,
yeah, don't you roll out that car now, son. What was I supposed to do?
So I had to correct myself on that. Because, it was a serious situation. This child is opening the door at a moving car. Mm-hmm. And so I just really had to, I think I had the misconception that I did not want a man to raise his voice at the kids. And I think that was kind of unrealistic, because I get on them all the time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that was possibly some baggage that you had from childhood, that when you saw a man screaming that it always led to something else?
No, because I never saw a man in the household. So I never saw him screaming. I never saw any type of passion. I didn't see any of that. So and I think I'm still kind of like this, or I think men should be seen and not heard.
Dutiful husband. Just a little dutiful husband.
And I do, because I don't, and for a fact, I don't like a chatty man.
You don't like a chatty patty?
I don't. I'm like, just don't talk.
Gotta talk now?
Yeah. No. But, I think a lot of times I want to hear what you have to say. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of other people want oftentimes to hear what you have to say because you have a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, but I've never felt like I should just talk to hear my own voice. I think even sometimes at work, people are like, hey, we want you to speak up. I'm like, well, I just don't talk to talk.
Right. And I like that. I really appreciate that.
And I feel like, if you're constantly talking, when you do open your mouth, people are like, there he go again. So I've never done that. But,
One more thing. I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Okay.
One more thing I had a misconception about. I thought an at-home mom. I thought when there was an at-home mom, the house was immaculate and everything was just in order and there was a perfect place. But that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. And when I saw your mom was an at-home mom, and I was like, well, why is it, how does that work? How does that look? How do you handle this? And, so I was confused about that. So I never had that example of, an at-home mom. So I think it helped me to see your mom was an at-home mom because I never saw that.
Your mom used to work like 2 jobs. Right?
Yeah,
so
she always worked.
So there you go. As far as misconceptions that I had, wow. I think probably the biggest misconception that I had is that I ran the house.
Oh.
Guys, we don't run the house. our wives to respect allow us to be in charge, But I just kind of I'm the man. It's not about that because it's a difference between fear and respect. Yeah. I think sometimes people get that confused. So I think that oftentimes, if you're a big bad man, you run the house, you do what you want to, but no. It's about respect, and if your kids respect you and your wife respect you, you'll be able to lead because they'll give you that respect, and it's important. So I just realized it's not about calling the shots because we don't do that. It's all about living in harmony and being understanding and just understanding that we don't have to fight every battle and things like that. And I think that's another key thing as far as like not fighting every battle, because I think a lot of times you just feel like you have to have the last word, and as a man you don't have to have the last say on everything.
Right.
So many decisions that have to make in a run of a day. You really don't have to do that.
And then one other thing that what I really appreciate after the 20 years, what I appreciate so much about you is that you anticipate my needs. You kind of know what I want or need before I need it or before I realize it. And so I think that's important. I know even And I think I mentioned this to you. You're not one that always say, "Oh, you look great, you look nice, you're pretty, you're this and that."
Hey, I compliment you.
Well, I think you compliment our daughter a lot, but
that's mini you.
And I love that. But I think you anticipate my needs. Like earlier this week, you realized, okay, because when I go to buy groceries and I buy household goods, I usually buy because we have 5 bathrooms. So I buy lots of toilet paper, but there's no toilet paper around because of social distancing. Mm-hmm. And so it's so crazy because I think yesterday or the day before you woke me up in the morning right before we were doing homeschooling and you were like, "Babe, I bought your brand of toilet paper, a whole lot of it." And I'm like, I didn't realize I needed any.
It's getting low, ma'am.
So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I didn't want you to be in a situation where, your particular brand was not available. So I was like, it was getting low, so I had to go find some offline. But I think you do the same thing. But I think also it really comes down to you being a student of your spouse. Yeah. Knowing what they are and what they enjoy and what they appreciate. And I know that's just kind of what I don't ever want to be in a situation where you have a need and it can't be met.
Right.
So, and I think that just comes down to what we should all be trying to do as spouses, as far as trying to, meet the needs of our spouse and trying to, put that person's needs ahead of our own.
Yeah. I think I'm that way with the kids as far as I know, even when they were smaller, my mom would say, well, they needed diapers and, you ran out or whatever. And I'm like, listen, whatever I'm doing, just call me. I will take care of that. Whatever they need, we got them. And so I think it's kind of the same thing that you're saying, be a student of your environment and your spouse and knowing what they absolutely need.
Yeah. And also, man, a couple bonus things. I'll run it through real quick because I know we're out of time. One thing, let your spouse be your best friend.
Yeah.
That should be it. Don't ever get confused. You might have some other really close friends, but your spouse should be your best friend.
Right.
I mean, you still before God with them. You say you want to spend the rest of your life with them. They should be your best friend. That don't mean that, you all be able to talk like other people, because there's a different dialogue that goes on, but they should be your best friend. Also, second thing that I want to make mention of as far as your affairs, there are certain things that need to stay in the house. Everybody don't need to know your business. Okay, that's one thing we realize. If you have a situation that's going on, keep it amongst yourself, work it out. I'm not saying that you don't love your mama. I'm not saying that you don't love your daddy. They're not good people, but certain things that you need to work out in your house, amongst each other. And that's important. We're not saying that you aren't supposed to go out and try to get, marriage coaches or marriage counseling or whatever to resolve those issues. But as far as just going and talking to somebody else and just telling everybody what's going on, you don't want to do that. And that's one thing that you told me when we first got married. Like, hey, I just asked that whatever we're going through, we just keep it in the house and we work it out. I didn't fight it because I hadn't thought that far. But as I actually sat up and started to think about it, yeah, that makes sense. So whatever situations you having, work it out amongst each other. You'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Other than, we got, at least 20 more years to go. So looking forward to that, get to the next phase, That'll be the phase when we start to get kids back about the house and do stuff like that. So
real quick, because we just celebrated 20-year anniversary. We got married in March of 2000. Well, at our 10-year wedding anniversary celebration, we announced that we were pregnant with our first biological child. So I knew we were going to top that. I just didn't realize we weren't going to be able to leave the house.
Yeah, I don't think nobody knew we were going to be able to leave the house. So, yeah, that was year 10 was a kid. Year 20 was the shutdown or the shut in.
Right.
The lock in.
I'm interested to see what year 50 would look like.
Yes, man, that's for sure. But I think we do have a sub that we want to shout.
Yep, we want to shout out Barbara Walker. That's Dr. Barbara Walker. Absolutely. Yes, she is a doctor on demand. And so now that you can't go out to the
Very
doctor
useful.
for social distancing, and I know she was your doctor at first because you don't like to go to the doctor, but you needed a situation where you just did the doctor on demand, and I was like, what? Because I've had my same
telemedicine.
Yeah, I've had my same doctor for so long, and then you spoke very highly of her, and then earlier this year when I had the flu, and the kids were diagnosed with the flu, I just could not get to the doctor, and so it helped that she was available, and she was, oh my God, amazing. So we wanted to shout her out because she is a subscriber now, and she shares our videos.
Good doc. Yes, and she does share us out. So thank you for the love, Doc. We appreciate it. And that's it. So down in the comments, let us know how many years have you been married? Yeah. How many years you've been in your relationship? Are there any things that we mentioned down in this video you like to put there? If you're not a subscriber, we would ask that you would subscribe. And no matter what, remember, as long as you got each other, nothing else matters. Okay, so just make sure to stay focused on that. So this is Adinah Johnson. I am Nik Johnson. And as always, we just ask that you take care of yourself and keep loving one another.
Yeah.